He slammed the table so hard that the chandelier above us shook. "This will is a joke," Ethan shouted, his voice slicing through the tension-filled room. Everyone turned to me, the quiet, unwanted stepdaughter who was never really part of the family. I could see the smirk on my stepmother's face, the satisfaction in her eyes as if she'd already won. Before we go deeper, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because what happened next shocked the entire room. Ethan waved the papers in the air. Dad would never leave everything to her. She was nothing but a guest in this house. His words cut deep, but I didn't flinch. I had waited for this moment for months. Ever since Dad's funeral, when they locked me out of my own home, whispering that I'd never belong. The lawyer hesitated, glancing at me nervously, but I stayed calm. Ethan smirked again. "Say something, April. Defend your fairy tale inheritance." I stood slowly, my fingers brushing the edge of the table. The air around us felt heavy, every eye fixed on me. My heart was pounding, but my mind was crystal clear. I looked right into Ethan's arrogant eyes and whispered 2 words, just 2, that made his smirk vanish in seconds. And in that moment, the entire room went silent. Ethan froze, his knuckles tightening around the will as if the paper itself had betrayed him. My 2 whispered words, real witnesses, echoed through the silence like thunder. His jaw dropped. My stepmother's fake smile disappeared instantly. The lawyer cleared his throat, eyes shifting between us. "She's right," he said quietly. "Mr. Reynolds insisted on having independent witnesses. They're here today." The door opened, and 2 people walked in, strangers to everyone except me. I had tracked them down myself, spending nights digging through files my father's attorney never thought anyone would find. Ethan's face turned pale. You planned this?" he stuttered. I didn't answer. I just looked at him. The same man who 2 months ago threw me out of Dad's house with my suitcase and said I'd better start learning how poor people live. I'd slept on a friend's couch for weeks, working quietly, piecing together every detail of the truth he tried to bury. The witnesses took their seats. "Yes," one of them said firmly. "Mr. Reynolds read this will himself. He was of sound mind. He signed it, and we both witnessed it." The room fell into chaos. Ethan's voice cracked as he yelled, "You're lying! This can't be real!" But the lawyer handed him another folder, one I had given him just that morning. Inside it was a video. My father, looking straight into the camera, his voice calm and sure. "If anyone, especially Ethan, ever claims this will is fake, show them this." Ethan stumbled back, his confidence draining from his face. He looked at me with pure disbelief. You set me up?" I smiled faintly. "No, Ethan. You set yourself up the moment you called me nothing." Ethan's breathing turned shallow as the reality sank in. The video kept playing, Dad's voice echoing through the room, calm but sharp, like he knew this day would come. "Ethan," he said in the recording, "greed blinds a man faster than anything else. If you're watching this, you've already proven me right." Everyone stared at the screen, stunned. My stepmother's hand slipped off the chair, her ring clinking against the wood floor. I could feel her panic rising, the same woman who once told me I was lucky, just to live under their roof. The lawyer paused the video and looked straight at Ethan. "Mr. Reynolds also made one more amendment," he said. "All properties, accounts, and company shares now legally belong to April Reynolds." The sound of that last name, my last name, echoed like victory. Ethan tried to speak, but his words tangled into silence. He looked smaller now, like the power he always flaunted had been ripped away in front of everyone. "You played nice for years," he muttered, his voice trembling. "Quiet little April, just waiting to strike." I took a slow step toward him. "No," I said softly. "I was just waiting to be seen." The lawyer handed me the final folder, the official transfer papers. My hands didn't shake this time. I had fought for this, every night alone, every insult replaying in my head, every time they called me nobody. Ethan slammed his fist on the table again, his voice breaking. "You'll regret this." I tilted my head, meeting his eyes with a calm he didn't recognize. "You said that when you threw me out," I whispered. And look where we are now. The room went dead silent again. Only this time, the silence felt like justice. Ethan's rage turned into panic. He snatched the video file from the lawyer and shouted, "You tricked everyone! This can't be legal!" His voice trembled, but his eyes, the same arrogant eyes that once looked down on me, were filled with fear now. My stepmother, Karen, stood up, trying to control the situation. "April, listen," she said with a fake softness. "We can sort this out as a family. You don't need to do this." Her tone made my blood boil. Family? The same woman who once threw my clothes in garbage bags and told me to find another roof to cry under. I took a deep breath and looked straight at her. "You already sorted me out once, remember? When Dad's body wasn't even cold." Her face drained of color. The lawyer tried to calm the room, but it was useless. The truth was out now. And every word that came next only made them unravel more. "April," Ethan barked, "you're not even Dad's real daughter. You were just—" "Don't finish that sentence," I cut him off, stepping closer. "Because if you do, I'll tell everyone exactly what you did with Dad's company funds 2 years ago." The room went dead silent. He froze, eyes widening. You know about that?" I smiled slightly. "Every cent," Karen gasped, clutching the back of a chair for balance. Ethan's voice cracked. "You don't have proof." "Oh, I do," I said quietly. "Bank transfers. Fake invoices. Everything. You see, while you were busy throwing parties and pretending to run the company, I was the one rebuilding it behind your back. Dad trusted me with access. You never even noticed." The lawyer, sensing the tension, turned to me. "Is this true?" I nodded. "There's another clause in the will. Dad added it before he passed. A condition that whoever tampered with the company funds would automatically lose all inheritance rights." Karen looked horrified. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came out. The lawyer shuffled through the papers, and there it was. The clause. Ethan's world shattered right there. His shoulders sank, his voice barely a whisper. "This isn't real. It can't be." I leaned forward just enough for him to hear me. "It's very real, Ethan. Just like every night I spent cleaning the mess you made." He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Not the weak, quiet girl he could bully, but someone who had outsmarted him completely. The witnesses sat in stunned silence. The lawyer finished reading, and all that was left was the sound of Ethan's breathing. Shallow. Broken and defeated. As I walked toward the door, Karen's voice cracked behind me. "April, wait. What are you going to do now?" I turned slightly, meeting her trembling eyes. "What I should have done a long time ago," I said. "Take back everything you stole, and make sure you never touch it again." Then I walked out, leaving them surrounded by silence, lies, and the truth they could no longer escape. But what none of them knew was that this was only half of my plan. 3 days later, the same mansion that once threw me out became mine. The golden crest above the doorway no longer belonged to Ethan's name. It was officially changed to mine. Yet, standing there, staring at the marble floors that used to echo with their laughter, I didn't feel joy. I felt peace, quiet, cold peace that comes only when justice finally catches up. But my story wasn't done. Not yet. Because while Ethan and Karen were busy trying to negotiate with my lawyer, I had already made my next move. Dad's company, the one Ethan nearly destroyed, was now under my control. For years, I'd worked quietly in a small tech firm, building a platform that nobody believed in. They mocked it, called it April's useless hobby. Ethan laughed when I told him about it once. "Stick to being invisible," he'd said. That invisible idea? It had just been valued at $12 million, so when the board called for a meeting, one Ethan assumed he'd still lead. I walked into the conference room wearing the same calm expression I'd had the day he threw me out. His face went pale the second he saw me sitting at the head of the table. "You can't be here," he hissed. "You don't belong in this room." I smiled faintly. "Funny. That's exactly what you said when I begged you for a job here 2 years ago." The investors looked at each other, whispering. I stood and pressed a button on the screen behind me. Instantly, slides appeared. Charts, revenue growth, a new acquisition proposal. "This," I said, "is what your arrogance almost killed. But now it's mine, and I'm rebuilding it under a new name, Reynolds Innovations." The silence that followed was electric. Ethan tried to speak, but every number, every document, every signature on the screen destroyed his defense. He had nothing left. Not his house, not his father's company, not even his pride. Karen burst into the room, desperate. "April, please," she cried. "He's your brother." I turned to her, calm but steady. "No, Karen, he's your son. I'm the daughter who was never good enough, remember?" Ethan slammed his hand on the table. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only he could hear. "No, Ethan, this isn't revenge. This is the balance you created the day you lied, stole, and laughed while I begged for fairness." He looked away, eyes glassy, broken.
The same man who once made me feel small now couldn't even meet my gaze. I gathered my papers,
Looked at the board and said, "Meeting adjourned." Then I turned toward the window, sunlight pouring in, washing away every memory of pain that place held. As I walked out of that building, I didn't look back. My car was waiting outside, the same one they mocked me for never being able to afford. I slipped into the driver's seat, took one deep breath, and smiled. Dad's words echoed in my mind. When truth stands still, lies eventually trip over it. They did. And that day, I realized, silence isn't weakness. It's preparation, and when it finally speaks, it destroys everything built on deceit.